All right. Good morning. Welcome to Franklin County Board of Commissioners General Session. Today is Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. As a reminder, this is a public meeting and is being recorded. For those of you calling in, please ensure that you have muted your phone line. Thank you. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today, we are recognizing that October is National Women's Small Business Month, and I want to talk a little bit about why we must take recognitions like this, why we must make recognitions like this. Not that long ago, women needed a male relative to co-sign their applications for small business loans. In 1988, Congress passed the Women's Business Ownership Act, identifying barriers to the success of women-owned businesses, including the inequality of access to commercial credit, inadequacy of information and data relative to businesses owned by women, the need for additional technical training for women business owners to maximize their growth, and the virtual exclusion of women-owned businesses from government procurement activities. Now, there are more than 13 million women-owned businesses in America, representing 42% of all businesses and generating almost $2 trillion in annual revenue. Also, 50% of all women-owned businesses are minority-owned, and Black women are the fastest-growing demographic of entrepreneurs. That's great progress, but we know some of these barriers still exist that prevent women-owned businesses from having long-term success. The public, private, and nonprofit sectors have all worked hard to promote entrepreneurship for women, and I'm proud to say that this board has made significant investments to assist small businesses, especially during this post-pandemic recovery. In addition, the county has looked internally at how we can support women-owned businesses. We created an economic equity administrator position to help promote the success of businesses owned by women and minorities, and to ensure diversity among the suppliers with whom our county does business. Progress can be made in this area, but only when purposeful actions are taken to address the inequities. You can learn more about the county Small and Emerging Business Program at equity.franklincountyohio.gov. October is also LGBT History Month, and a great opportunity to recognize some of our neighbors in the LGBTQIA+ community, as well as national heroes and the movement they've helped to propel. LGBT History Month was created by a high school teacher in 1994 because he felt that most students were not learning the history of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people in America, and he wanted to identify role models for his LGBT students, and help them to build a community in their school. Now, the Equality Forum organization identifies 31 lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender icons for students across the country to learn about each October. You can find them and learn more about the history of this year's icons at lgbthistory.com. This week, is also National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week. And even though the use of lead in common household materials has been restricted, lead can still be found in some of the paint on our walls, and plumbing fixtures, in the soil, and many painted toys, furniture, and pieces of jewelry. When lead is breathed in or swallowed by our kiddos, it can result in damage to the brain and nervous system, as well as slowed growth and physical development, hearing and speech problems, and learning and behavioral challenges. Unfortunately, hundreds of Franklin County children are found to have elevated levels of lead in their blood each year. However, there are steps we can take to help reduce the chances of lead poisoning in our own homes. First, be aware that any house built before 1978 can have lead paint on the walls. Don't try to remove lead paint yourself. You can hire a lead-safe certified company to help you renovate. If you rent, talk to your landlord about fixing surfaces with peeling or chipping paint. And wash your children's hands, pacifiers, and toys frequently. Take off your shoes when entering the house, and make sure your children have a healthy diet with foods high in iron, calcium, and vitamin C. Lead can be devastating to growing kids' bodies. You can find out more about keeping them safe and healthy and find resources to assess the risk of your own home through Franklin County Public Health Healthy Homes Program at epa.gov/lead. And our last recognition for this week is a particularly sad one. As many of you know, October is National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. Tens of thousands of American families lose a baby each year, but the grief that these families experience isn't always acknowledged. Around the world, about 1 in 4 pregnancies result in miscarriage. There are about 2.6 million annual stillbirths and about 4 million deaths of infants before their first birthday. And in Ohio, the infant mortality rate is about 7.4 per 1,000 live births, but it's more than twice as high for Black babies. So we all know people whose lives have been changed by the loss of pregnancy or death of an infant, and it's important that we recognize the grief that they are experiencing. I also want to encourage people who are pregnant to visit columbus.gov/celebrate1 to be connected with prenatal care and prenatal support groups to learn more about supporting a healthy pregnancy and so much more. Can I get approval of the minutes for the October 18th, 2022 general session and the October 2022 briefing session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yep.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
Hey, hit me.
Little toll for being late.
Thank you. It's always good when you come bearing gifts. First up, we have the engineer.
Resolution number 77322. Resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on a portion of Renner Road, County Road number 27, Norwich Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Soulis, Government Affairs Liaison for County Engineer Cornell Robertson. Commissioners, our first resolution seeks authorization to request ODOT to investigate the speed limit on Renner Road in Norwich Township, beginning at Alton and Darby Creek Road and extending to the City of Columbus Corp limit just east of Birchwood Drive. ODOT will review the county's study and determine a safe speed limit. Our study determined that the speed limit reduction from 45 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour would be appropriate. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 773-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 77322 has been adopted. Resolution number 77422. Resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on a portion of Lambert Road, County Road number 291, Pleasant Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this next resolution is identical to the last one. We're seeking to reduce the speed limit on Lambert Road, beginning at London Groveport Road and extending to Beatty Road. Again, ODOT will review our study and make the ultimate determination. Based on our study, it was determined that a speed limit reduction from 55 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour would be appropriate. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 774-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 77422 has been adopted. Resolution number 77522. Resolution granting approval to declare equipment obsolete and no longer needed for Franklin County use and authorizing the sale of said equipment.
Commissioners, this next resolution seeks to declare some equipment obsolete. Specifically, we've got 3 vehicles and 3 rear mowers that we're seeking to declare obsolete. We will allow political subdivisions a designated period of time to bid and purchase these items before we offer them up at public auction. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 775-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 77522 has been adopted.
Hey, Nick, before you leave, question for you.
Yes, sir.
It is that time of year where it is, speaking of political subdivisions, and you were talking about mowers. It seems to be the political yard signs in the illegal right-of-ways seem to be in even worse this year than in years past. And I I don't know what our policy is in terms of removal of those signs. And I know it's a couple weeks before the election and, but, it just seems to be way worse this year than I remember it being. Do we have a policy about removing those signs and how we do that and when we do that?
Commissioner O'Grady, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you. I don't believe that we have a policy. However, let me investigate that, and I will definitely get back to you as to whether or not, whatever's in the right of way, we feel it necessary, especially if they become an obstacle or an obstruction, we will remove those. But obviously, we want to be considerate of the election coming up. And we want to make sure we don't run afoul of any statute or constitutional provision. And I would defer to the first assistant prosecutor that's sitting there in the audience for Janine to make a comment if she feels it necessary. However, I will, if I may, take a couple of days and respond to you on Thursday, Commissioner, because I don't know the answer right now.
Okay. Appreciate it. It just seems like there's a lot more this year than in the past. There's, some folks are leading the league in, illegal yard signs this year. Just, I don't know about illegal, but certainly signs that are not in people's yards, they're in the right of way, and there are just a ton of them this year.
All over the freeway, on ramps and off ramps. Yes, Commissioner. I've seen those as well.
No doubt. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Nick. Have a great day.
Actually, Commissioners, I'm here for the next one as well.
Okay. Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 77622, resolution accepting the final report, plans, and schedule of assessments and fixing an hour and date for the final hearing on the Cook Tri-County Ditch Watershed Petition, Franklin County, Delaware County, and Licking County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this last resolution that I'm presenting today is on behalf of the board. It does accept the final report, plans, and schedule of assessments and fixes the hour and date for the final hearing on the Cook Tri-County Ditch Watershed Petition. If you'll recall, an initial meeting of the Joint County Board with Delaware, Licking, and Franklin County was held in December of 2018. On February 19, 2019, the petition was accepted and referred to our office for recommendation. The viewing was held on February 21, 2019, and the first hearing was conducted on April 23, 2019. Since then, the Franklin County engineer has prepared plans and a schedule of assessments for the proposed improvement, and the county engineers of Franklin, Delaware, and Licking counties have submitted the final report. With passage of this resolution, the final hearing for this petition will be scheduled for December 6, 2022. Please keep in mind that this is not approving or formally adopting the recommendation to go forward with the improvement. This is really just accepting the report that we have prepared and setting the hearing date. The final hearing on December 6, 2022 will be the date that the joint county boards actually either move forward with the improvement or choose not to go forward with the improvement. So pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 776-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 77622 has been adopted.
Thank you so much, Commissioners. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Next up, we have the sheriff.
Resolution number 77722, resolution authorizing a transfer of appropriations and a purchase order for the return of prisoners.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Albert Smith, Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. Our resolution authorizes the transfer of appropriations and approval of a purchase order to cover the necessary expenses incurred in the pursuit and transportation of prisoners. These appropriations cover the expenses for transporting 32 prisoners during June, 27 prisoners during July, and 31 prisoners during August. The itemized monthly reports have been submitted and approved by the Sheriff. Pending any questions, I request approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, Move for adoption of 777-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 77722 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yeah, have a great day. Next, we have the treasurer.
Resolution number 77822, resolution designating eligible institutions as public depositories.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jacqueline Treadwell. I am the Budget and Purchasing Coordinator for the Franklin County Treasurer. Sorry. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jacqueline Treadwell, and I am the Budget and Purchasing Coordinator for the Franklin County Treasurer. The Franklin County Treasurer's Office is seeking a resolution designating eligible institutions as public depositories of public funds belonging to Franklin County, including active and inactive monies. The treasurer has reviewed prospective eligible institutions, and the recommended financial institutions are in compliance with sections 135.31 through 135.40 of the Ohio Revised Code. The treasurer of Franklin County shall require pledges of securities for payments of public deposits as provided in sections 135.37, 135.18, or 135.182 of the Ohio Revised Code. The treasurer of Franklin County, Ohio, shall ensure that the deposit of public funds are adequately collateralized to provide against any market value changes in the securities pledged by the designated depositories. We respectfully ask for your approval. Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 77822.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Abstain.
Resolution number 77822 has been adopted with Commissioner Boyce's noted abstention.
Thank you. Next up, community partnerships.
Resolution number 77922, resolution authorizing a COVID-19 recovery grant amendment with Franklin County Public Health to improve the efficacy of public health programs.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. This is Curtis Brown, Community Partnerships Administrator. This resolution is providing a COVID-19 recovery grant amendment with Franklin County Public Health in the amount of $1,710,000 to improve the efficacy of their public health programs, including diversity, equity, and inclusion, data and technology, workforce development, as well as others. Joining us today is Franklin County Public Health Commissioner Joe Mazzola, and he is available to provide additional information and answer any questions you may have. And if there are no questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
How much is it for? I can't get into my iPad, by the way. I'm not pulling update. I don't know, but
Yes, Commissioner, the grant amendment is for $1,710,000.
and go back. While you were talking, I was trying to get it up on my iPad, but it won't update. But tell me about it again. One, let me just say that I'm a big believer that we need to invest deeper in public health. Given the pandemic experience that we've learned, I mean, keep in mind, there've been lots of pandemics in our lifetime, but this one was a little different, and it to me, it underscores the need to be prepared, and to be able to execute a strategy that does everything that we can to protect our public. And so I'm very supportive of the resources, but I want to make sure I understand what this use is for. And since it's coming out of community partnerships, I presume these are one-time funds as opposed to some type of annual commitment. Is that correct?
Correct. This is funding from the COVID-19 recovery grant. And it is, to your earlier question, the programs include the programs for diversity, equity, and inclusion, data and technology, workforce development, as well as some others. And I'll turn it over to Health Commissioner Mazzola if he would like to provide any additional information.
Before Commissioner Mazzola speaks, I was just able to get in. I don't know I think our things just need to be updated. I think I would like for Commissioner Mazzola to speak to because I do believe part of this is data. A significant amount is to upgrade the data infrastructure. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner Crowley. Good morning, Commissioners, County Administration. This is Joe Mazzola, Franklin County Public Health. That's absolutely correct. This would be a historic investment in our public health capabilities and infrastructure. Many of the identified areas within this request stem from our after action report from the COVID-19 pandemic, our after action report and response, which the commissioners helped fund that report for us. So these are one-time investments in our public health capabilities and will have a long-standing impact for our capabilities here at the Health Department. As Curtis mentioned, in the various areas of the request, we have workforce development investments. We have the data and technology that was already mentioned, our work within diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as investments with respect to strategic planning, our next community health improvement plan, and some supplemental programmatic support in areas such as naloxone distribution and other areas. So we appreciate the commissioner's continued support of public health, and this would be a significant investment in our public health capabilities and really allow for us to continue to serve the residents of Franklin County.
I think it's important that, especially from the public health perspective, that the public as well as the board understand how impactful these investments are. So one, it'll help with data capabilities. One, if we are able to move to a CIE, that this would allow you to be able to exchange information. I think we should be clear about that. But two, I think, if I'm not mistaken, part of this also is for, I won't say mobile units, but isn't part of this investment to help distribute vaccinations or something like that as far as like vehicles and moving or no?
Commissioner, that's correct. So part of this investment would be for us to procure a new immunization van, emergency preparedness vehicle, and some other additional lease vehicles for us, for our community health workers to reach out into the community. And I also want to mention that in addition to some of the programmatic support that I mentioned earlier, this would also fund more training with respect to emergency preparedness, our Stop the Bleed program, as well as investments in more programmatic and policy development regarding adverse childhood experiences.
Thank you. I mean, I don't want it to seem like I'm pulling teeth, but I want folks to be clear about what we're investing in and not gloss over it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, President Crowley. That's kind of what I was looking for in my answer, in my questioning. But the one I was going to zero in on was the diversity, equity, and inclusion effort. And then you said workforce development investment. I don't know that I'm convinced this is going to be a good investment, but actually for the public, you might just kind of give a little snapshot on that. But I'd love a more detailed layout of what you plan to do. I'm very supportive of this, but I want it to be a part of a bigger strategy, a bigger plan around public health. And there's no reason that Franklin County can't lead the way for other county public health divisions that we can sort of set the stage for Ohio, you know. And so I'm very supportive, but I definitely want to learn more about the detail because I didn't have the opportunity to get through the briefing. So if you could just give a quick snapshot on the workforce development element in the DE&I piece.
Absolutely, Commissioner. Thank you for the question. So regarding workforce development, one thing that we have identified over the last couple of years because of the extended nature of the COVID-19 response is a need to do additional investments within workforce development for our staff. So the funding would be used to help pay for things like certifications, conferences, other professional development opportunities for our staff so that we can invest in them as they have provided so much to us over the last couple of years. Also, with respect to diversity, equity, and inclusion, our efforts here obviously continue. This funding would allow for us to do additional training for our staff with respect to DEI, but also fund a comprehensive cultural audit for Franklin County Public Health as part of our strategic plan with respect to diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is aligned with the commissioners. And so in those two areas, that's what the funding would be used for.
The only thing my last point about it is that you said conferences and training. That, to me, is an ongoing kind of a thing that, training and conferences are things that happen on a regular basis to keep us up to speed with the latest strategies, techniques, efforts, whatever. And so I want to be thoughtful about our ongoing investment in public health and what we do. So it's not a conversation we need to have right now, but I'm definitely interested in a deeper dive. So thanks very much.
So I agree with my colleagues as it relates to increased funding for public health, but I also would like to point out the need for greater public health policy or expanded public health policy. I would like to see Franklin County also lead the state in the area of the expansion of public health policy. Too often, we have folks in this state and across the country that are trying to curtail public health policy, and I'd like to see us continue to lead the way. Also, on another note, had the opportunity last night to meet Commissioner Mazzola's wife for the first time, and got to see Commissioner Mazzola in a social setting, and he was. Got to see him with his hair down, as it were, and he was, as you might imagine, almost unrecognizable. I ran into him and I was taken aback, and so it was great to see you last night, Joe, and your wife. It was very fun evening, and it was good to see you outside of this professional setting. If you ever get a chance to see Joe with his hair down and not in a suit, he is very relaxed and comfortable, and it's good to see him in a little less professional setting.
Great to see you as well, Commissioner.
I don't know if Administrator Wilson has anything to say, but I do want to just say for Franklin County Public Health or anybody else, any other agency coming before the board when it comes, especially to COVID-19 or recovery dollars, if you could really be just a little bit more detailed in how these funds are being used to combat or mitigate things that have taken place during the pandemic or to this resolution in particular. Both Commissioner O'Grady and Commissioner Boyce have been very vocal about preparedness and moving forward. And I think it's interesting, I know you mentioned ACEs, but I want to just really talk about the work that you're doing in response to what Commissioner O'Grady said about being a leader in the state when it comes to public health. This is pretty significant, the money that's going to the research that you all are going to be doing on adverse childhood experiences. And we talked about this, we talked about this, I guess, several months ago now. But as we look at the changing policy on DOBS and, the disparities that we saw with, COVID-19 to having an affordable housing crisis and homelessness and addiction continuing to be on the rise. And when we look at the assessment and the questions that's asked about adverse childhood experiences and whether, basically you lived in poverty or saw violence or, that these investments that we're making right now in trying to change the life course of our residents by understanding their ACEs and their ACEs score, but also when there's interventions put in place, how that can change the trajectory. We know when we have high ACEs scores that there's a lower life expectancy, but if we mitigate that with interventions, that it can expand the number of years that especially Black men in Franklin County can live. So I just want us to be I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think it's important for the public to know, but also for the board to understand how these investments are going to mitigate the effects of COVID-19 that exacerbated problems that we know already existed prior to that. Right.
President Crowley.
Yes.
I agree. As was stated by Mr. Brown, this is a historical investment in public health by the Board of Commissioners today. And I think that some of the highlights of this historic investment were sort of muted by the fact that this is a contract amendment on top of initial investments in public health. after this board declared racism as a public health crisis, closely following that, the commissioners made an investment in health equity, health disparities by helping the Franklin County Public Health Department establish its first ever office of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and establishing, you all have funded from the inception, the position of an associate director or for DEI with a focus upon racism and racial equity being a lens on the community health improvement plan and other actions of the Board of Health. And the Board of Health has resolutions, to Commissioner O'Grady's point, 2 resolutions that support that funding effort made by the Public Health Department. Joe, you can spell out the differences. I know it's the first resolution that accompanied the Franklin County Board of Health's racism is a public health crisis was also a separate action approved by your board, calling for all of your health policies and actions of the Franklin County Board of Health to be viewed with a racial equity lens. So I think one of the things that we should do as a follow-up after this action is certainly from a community outreach standpoint, make sure we have a press release that outlines all of the funding included in this resolution today. So I'll ask our Public Affairs Department to coordinate with yours, Health Commissioner Mazzola, to make sure we get the effort out so people will know that these resources are available, because this is truly today a historical investment from the Board of Commissioners into public health.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no further comments or questions, one, I want to say, Joe, I don't want to see you with your hair down. So I'm going to pass on that one, Commissioner O'Grady. But it is nice to see folks out there living their life once again. Nonetheless, move for adoption of 779-22.
Second.
Right. Yeah.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 779-22 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Have a great day, Commissioner Mazzola.
Resolution
still.
number 780-22. Resolution authorizing a COVID-19 recovery grant to provide assistance to Gladden Community House in the amount of $80,665.75.
Commissioners, this resolution will be providing a COVID-19 recovery grant in the amount of $80,665.75 to Gladden Community House. This funding will support the community house to complete various capital repairs, including repairs to their leaking roof and maintenance of the ball fields at Franklinton Youth Park. If there are no questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 780-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 780-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 781-22. Resolution authorizing a no-cost extension of the grant agreement extension with Southeast Healthcare.
This resolution will be providing a no-cost extension to Southeast Healthcare. Southeast Healthcare was awarded Community Partnerships grant funding to provide primary care services at the Van Buren Shelter during evening hours to improve health outcomes and reduce emergency services for routine medical issues. This extension will allow more time for services to be provided to residents. If there are no questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 781-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 781-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 782-22. Resolution authorizing a no-cost extension of the grant agreement extension with Life Care Alliance.
This resolution will be providing a no-cost extension to Life Care Alliance. Life Care Alliance was awarded Catalyst Grant funding to support Impact Safety, which teaches emotional and physical skills necessary to help people reduce risk, prevent violence, and make safe choices, allowing Franklin County residents to live and work together with greater confidence. This extension will allow more time for services to be provided to residents. If there are no questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 782-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 78222 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Curtis. That's a nice tie you got on. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 78322. Resolution to adjust the boundaries of Montgomery Township, thereby making them conform to the boundaries of the City of Columbus, case number ANX-33-22.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jenny Snap, Chief Operating Officer with Economic Development and Planning. This resolution is to consider a boundary change petition to adjust the boundary lines of Montgomery Township to conform to the boundaries of the City of Columbus. This petition was filed by the City of Columbus pursuant to the City Ordinance Number 2445-2022, passed on September 12th, 2022, and submitted to Franklin County on October 3rd, 2022, authorizing the submission of the petition to the Board of County Commissioners requesting that the boundary lines of Montgomery Township be changed to make them conform to the corporate limits of the City of Columbus in areas of Blended Township previously annexed to the city. The area to be adjusted includes 2 parcels annexed from Blended Township to the City of Columbus under the expedited Type 2 annexation process. The City of Columbus accepted the annexation of 2 parcels under the expedited 2 annexation process according to the provisions of Section 709.023 of the Ohio Revised Code. That section prohibits the exclusion of land from a township upon annexation to a municipal corporation unless provided for in an annexation agreement or cooperative economic development agreement entered into by the township and municipal corporation. The City of Columbus and Blended Township entered into an amended annexation agreement on August 31st, 2022. Under the terms of the amended annexation agreement, the area annexed under the 2 referenced annexation petitions must be conformed so that the territory annexed to the City of Columbus from Blended Township is transferred to Montgomery Township. Petition has been filed in accordance with Section 503.07 of the Ohio Revised Code, and pending any questions, I would request your approval of this resolution.
Okay. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 783-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 78322 has been adopted. Resolution number 78422. Resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Wanda Gain at 5576 Bellevue Drive, Pleasant Township, Ohio, 43123.
Good morning, Commissioners and Administration. This is Julissa Tiruchalon, Administrative Assistant 2 for EDP. My first resolution is for Ms. Wanda Gain. She received on July 11th, 2006 from Franklin County a home loan for $1,520 on real estate, commonly known as 5576 Bellevue Drive, Pleasant Township. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied. The property taxes are paid and current. Pending any questions, I respectfully request the approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
Okay. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 784-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 78422 has been adopted. Resolution number 78522. Resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Kimberly England, also known as Kimberly Harris, and John W. Blankenship at 1709 Arcadia Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43207.
Kimberly England and John W. Blankenship received on April 25th, 2011 from Franklin County a home loan for $15,000 on real estate, commonly known as 1709 Arcadia Avenue, Columbus. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied. The property taxes are paid and current. I respectfully request the approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 785-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 785-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 786-22. Resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for James Stricklet at 2441 Chambers Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43223.
James Stricklet received on February 1st, 2007 from Franklin County a home loan for $3,650 on real estate, commonly known as 2441 Chambers Avenue, Columbus. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied and the property taxes are paid and current, and I respectfully request the approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 786-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 786-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 787-22. Resolution approving a contract agreement with Access to Interpreters LLC for interpretation and translation services in the amount of $1,567,389.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Vivian Turner, Chief Administrator. Brenton County Job and Family Services is committed to providing meaningful access to our programs for limited English proficient or LEP residents and families as required under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. In June of this year, we released a request for bids for interpretation and translation services, seeking qualified and experienced bidders to enable our staff to effectively communicate with LEP residents, to determine eligibility for public benefits, and provide appropriate referrals for services. Through this competitive bid process, Access to Interpreters LLC was selected to provide on-site, over-the-phone, and video remote interpretation services, as well as translation services. They will also provide document translation services for agency forms, brochures, and other items in 4 primary languages and others as requested. In addition to meeting our Title VI obligation, this agreement supports goal number 4 of your Rise Together Blueprint and goal number 9. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 787-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 787-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 788-22. Resolution authorizing a data use agreement between the Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services, Advocacy and Communication Solutions, LLC, and EMC Research.
Commissioners, as you know, the charge to better align our health and human service agencies came from our residents. When it emerged as an ongoing theme in the dozens of conversations we had with hundreds of residents while developing your Rise Together Blueprint, and as a part of this One Door Health and Human Services initiative, we need to go to our residents again to inform this strategy and ensure we are meeting their needs as they see them. EMC Research is our lead research partner for this initiative, and they are a subcontractor with Advocacy and Communication Solutions, our consultant for the project. This data sharing agreement will support research to explore all of the touch points residents have with our agencies. It will help provide insight so that we can better align our services and create more equitable access to programs and benefits Franklin County HHS agencies offer. This resolution also authorizes the director to enter into necessary amendments or modifications to the data sharing agreement. And pending any questions, we request your approval.
If If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 788-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 788-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 789-22, resolution approving a subaward agreement with the Derek L. Owens Group LLP for adult court diversion alternative services in the amount of $360,000.
The Owens Group services include education and awareness, intervention, workforce readiness training, and referrals for treatment or other services. Enrollment assists low-level offenders to avoid incarceration. Under the previous award, a total of 150 TANF-eligible justice-involved residents were referred to the Owens Group by attorneys from across the county. In this new agreement, the Owens Group will assist approximately 200 TANF-eligible individuals facing criminal and traffic issues with the Franklin County court system and mayor's courts. And for the first time, the Owens Group will work with justice-involved youth, ages 18 to 24, enrolled in our Achieve More and Prosper program. This resolution supports goal number 4 of your Rise Together blueprint, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 789-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 789-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 790-22, resolution approving contracts with the House of Hope for Alcoholics Incorporated and Mary Haven Incorporated for residential and non-residential treatment services in the amount of $205,000.
Commissioners, our last resolution for this morning is the Title 20 Social Service Program, which are intended to enable residents to improve self-sufficiency, support independent living, and strengthen family life. This resolution would approve contracts with the House of Hope for Alcoholics and Mary Haven to provide comprehensive alcohol and drug treatment services for patients at all stages of recovery, including inpatient and outpatient care, medically assisted treatment, cognitive behavioral therapy, and other proven therapies through individual and group counseling sessions. The House of Hope will provide treatment services for an estimated 14 low-income residents that require intensive residential treatment services for drug and alcohol abuse. Mary Haven will provide residential treatment for an estimated 40 low-income residents who are suffering from drug or alcohol addiction and require residential treatment. This resolution aligns with goal number 9 of your Rise Together blueprint, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
I was asking, thank you, Vivian. I was asking the clerk if Oyama was on. My team just went to Mary Haven and was talking about all of I'm familiar with some of the services, but not all of them, and had not toured the facility off of Alum Creek. And we talked about House of Hope, but I also got to see the new addition that they are building and renovating at the same time. And, they're just doing transformational work, and just really appreciate all that they're doing for our residents who are experiencing addiction or may have a dual diagnosis with mental health and addiction, and then just all of the efforts that they're taking to make people feel comfortable and have a nice setting and environment to, heal in. And so I just really appreciate all the work that Mary Haven is doing, as well as House of Hope for alcoholics. So, yeah.
We're very proud to support their services, Commissioner.
If there are no comments or questions, or additional comments or questions, move for adoption of 790-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 790-22 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Have a great day. Next up, we have Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 791-22, resolution authorizing a professional service contract agreement with Malika Brown for reentry navigation support for justice-involved residents served via the Franklin County Rapid Resource Center in the amount of $57,200.
Good morning, Commissioners. Melissa Pearson with the Franklin County Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Commissioners, with your support, the Franklin County Rapid Resource Center, located at the Jackson Pike Correctional Center, was able to launch phase 1 of our expansion to a 24-hour operation just 2 weeks ago. In those 2 weeks, 112 individuals have received services through the Rapid Resource Center between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. This professional services contract in the amount of $57,200 supports the hiring of an additional reentry navigator to provide support to individuals being released third shift from the correctional center, and will be financially supported with grant funding through the FY 2020 Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Grant Program. In addition to offering supportive services in the form of treatment referral and linkage and harm reduction education, including the distribution of naloxone, the navigator can assist with providing warm weather clothing, charging of telephones, and coordinating transportation during the third shift hours when CODA On Demand is not in service. Ms. Malika Brown has extensive experience with our office, serving first as a participant, graduate, and then alumni of Cohort 11 of our Pathways to Women's Healthy Living program. Then she became a receptionist and donation specialist, and now we are eager to bring her on as a reentry navigator. We're extremely proud of Ms. Brown and believe that she will be a tremendous asset to the Rapid Resource Center. This resolution aligns with goal number 2 of Franklin County's Rise Together Blueprint. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
I do have, how many individuals did the Rapid Resource Center see in just 2 weeks in the third shift?
It's 112, which I will say, Commissioner, exceeded even our expectations.
Right, and so while I'm happy that we have this third shift and have, worked with administration and the Sheriff's Office and Director Pride to have this, I think it also speaks to how many people were leaving Jackson Pike in the middle of the night sometimes and did not have the resources that they need. And not only are we connecting individuals with resources, so I'm glad that we had this investment. I'm glad that Malika Brown is coming on, because there's nothing better than having like a peer support who understands what people are dealing with and going through to help you navigate this. But I just also want to talk about how people who are coming through the Rapid Resource Center that we may have missed during this third shift, right, might be the same people who are coming back through our doors. But it's not just we're giving them transportation and connecting them with housing, but we're giving them support services, so hopefully they don't come back through our doors, right? And so I just wanted to underscore that. So just really appreciate administration, my colleagues, and you all in JPP for supporting that third shift. Also, Janine Hummer for being a part of that conversation, because obviously it's making a difference for our residents. And welcome Malika Brown to the Team Franklin County.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 791-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 791-22 has been adopted.
Thanks, Commissioners.
Thanks. Have a good one. Next up, we have purchasing.
Resolution number 792-22, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $3,494,109.77.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Balanier, Director of Purchasing, and joining me is D'Amica Withers, Chief Economic Equity and Inclusion Officer in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Commissioners, this resolution requests your approval of 136 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. Chief Withers is here to supply the supplier diversity data for this week. Good morning, D'Amica.
Good morning, Megan. Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. 13 of these purchase orders being presented today will be awarded to 2 DBEs, 2 minority business enterprises, 7 small and emerging business enterprises, and 4 women business enterprises, totaling $1,141,878.95. This week, 4 agencies have increased their supplier diversity that include emergency management, public facilities management, engineer, and the Sheriff's Department. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval for this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 792-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 792-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Next up, Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 793-22. Resolution authorizing a general fund supplemental appropriation related to the arena lease.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Telerik with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution would authorize a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $767,708 as a result of higher than anticipated casino tax revenue in 2022. The adjustment reflects 32% of the expected fourth quarter receipt, which is the percentage required to be distributed pursuant to the terms of the lease approved by Resolution number 938-11. Pending any questions, would ask your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 793-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 793-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 794-22. Resolution authorizing a one-year contract with Future Ready Columbus in support of the Future Ready by 5 Kindergarten Readiness Plan.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. This is Curtis Brown, Community Partnerships Administrator. This resolution will be providing a one-year grant agreement in the amount of $400,000 to Future Ready Columbus. This funding will support the Future Ready by 5 kindergarten readiness plans. The plans include Future Ready implementing a community-wide Future Ready by 5 kindergarten readiness initiative, creating a Future Ready by 5 education and public awareness campaign, and aligning countywide fatherhood initiatives into a coordinated system. If there are no questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
Thank you, Curtis. I know we have the assistant prosecutor here. We're going to have to change the language or amend, but I also want to recognize Michaela Bivens, who is here from Future Ready. I don't know if she wants to provide any comments, especially about the public awareness campaign, since she is leading that effort, and how this relates to the Board of Commissioners' priorities as it relates to our goal number 11 for the poverty blueprint and mitigating the unfortunate disparities that we see in education for our children.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioners. I am Michaela Bivens, the Director of Communications with Future Ready Columbus. On behalf of our CEO, Jane Leach, and our team, I would like to thank the Commissioners for the request of approval of our resolution for the Future Ready by 5 plan. It is projected that 11,435 children in Franklin County will not be ready for kindergarten each year. To break that down even further, 76% of African American and 82% of Hispanic children are not ready for kindergarten. These same communities presented in the Poverty Blueprint Plan experiencing poverty and pinging high on the social determinants of health are the same areas where we see children not demonstrating for the kindergarten readiness assessment. Low performance of the kindergarten readiness assessment and lack of kindergarten readiness affects our children's ability to pass their third grade reading assessment, their likelihood of graduating from high school, increases their incarceration rate, and increases their usage of public assistance in the future. Future Ready Columbus is committed to being transparent, accountable, and equitable. As we move forward in our work, our goals are to first create a targeted approach with our messaging to ensure the definition of kindergarten readiness is understood. This means taking our message and catering it in ways that can be received and understood in African American and Hispanic communities. For example, Commissioner O'Grady may understand algebra with just 2 study guides. However, for me, that same message may not be understood and needs 3 additional guides and 4 sessions of tutoring. This is a critical issue in our communities, and we must be strategic in our approach. Although the message does not change, the approach does. Additionally, in this targeted approach, we are reviewing data to understand the social determinants of health and barriers residents are facing, and ensuring that we provide a holistic approach for children and families to achieve stabilization. Our second goal is to help communities understand and receive practical and educational ways to support their children with achieving kindergarten readiness. For example, educating families that kindergarten readiness looks like knowing how to put on a coat, knowing their first and last names, being able to write their first names, being able to use school supplies, and using the restroom independently. These are just a few indicators that demonstrate readiness that many in our communities may not be aware of. So thank you again, Commissioners, for supporting us in our mission and plan to achieve 100% kindergarten readiness by year 2030 across Franklin County.
Thank you.
Are there- oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was going to say, are there any questions or comments?
Do we?
I think,
Okay.
sorry.
Well, Commissioner O'Grady doesn't understand algebra, period. Never did. My kids all tutored each other in algebra. But they all know to come to me for, they all know to come to me for U.S. history and government and English and all those good subjects. But they all tutored each other in algebra, so. I was lost in algebra after sixth grade.
Okay.
After sixth grade. So, I don't know if Commissioner Boyce wanted to say something or if,
I can't follow that. I can't follow that.
I just want to be specific. I mean, typically we do $400,000 a year, but I JFS and worked with Kara on the scope of work, because I think at this point in time, as I serve on Future Ready Board on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, and I know we're going to change language to reflect that, that we just don't have any time to, let our children and our families, try to figure out the steps to get their kids ready for kindergarten. And so we have to be specific and strategic in our approach. And we were going to be strategic with these dollars. So I know Curtis talked about the Future Ready by 5 plan, which is a massive plan, but we are only targeting specific areas that coincide with the goals that Franklin County Board of Commissioners have based on the poverty blueprint and what the community said is needed, and based on the new data that we just saw with the report cards that came out from Columbus City Schools. We see the numbers continue to worsen in Groveport and Whitehall. And so we're focusing in areas in the city of Columbus, but also in our suburbs where families need help, and especially supporting our new American population as well, and our immigrants. And so I just want to be clear on that as people are listening and may hear the FR5 plan and understand that it's massive. We are deliberate in this investment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Janine Hummer, First Assistant and Chief Counsel for Gary Tyak's office. Today, as you have found, Commissioner Crawley has been participating with regard to this resolution. She is serving on this board in her official capacity. For that reason, we'd ask the commissioners to amend the current resolution to reflect 2 additional whereas clauses. The first whereas clause would state that Commissioner Crawley is serving on the board in her official capacity and as a representative of the Board of Commissioners. The second whereas clause that would be added to this resolution would state the following: that Future Ready and the Board of Commissioners recognizes that as a representative to this board, she has been instructed to represent the Board of Commissioners' interests on the board.
Before I move to amend, should I move to amend and then make comments, or?
You can make comments first.
Okay, I just,
Put the resolution, you can put the resolution on the table and then move to amend.
we have to put it on the table and then move to amend?
Yes, because it has to be presented, then there's a motion to amend the resolution on the table.
Okay, so.
Move for passage, And then the second motion would be a motion to amend, and then a vote on the amendment, and a vote on passage of the amended resolution.
But move for passage first then? I'm confused.
What you're doing is moving to place the item on the table.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Okay, I'll make my comments at the end, just so I don't forget all that she just said. Move to place on the table.
Move to pass.
She said place on the table.
Same thing.
Okay, I'm confused now. Yeah. 'Cause that's what I would have done. Okay,
Just move to pass
All right, move to pass.
794-22.
794-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Well,
Yes.
Well, wait a minute, now you have to move to amend. Can't pass it without amending it.
That's what I would have done.
Commissioners,
That's
if
what
I
don't
might,
understand.
Deputy Administrator Long is.
No, let's just get this over with. Yeah.
So go ahead and
I
move
would have
to-
said we just move to amend first.
First,
Yes, move to amend.
my understanding is to move to amend the resolution, and then we move to.
Yes, put it up there.
Okay, yeah, that's why I was confused. All right, okay, because I'm like, why wouldn't we just move to amend? Okay, all right.
Clerk, can we move to amend resolution 794-22 as outlined by First Assistant County Prosecutor Janine Hummer?
Yeah, but you can't move to amend it because you're not a member of the Board of Commissioners.
I think
I'm
Yes.
suggesting
Yeah, I think you
that
suggested
as
that.
County Administrator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the answer is yeah, right, yeah, okay. So move to amend.
Second.
moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes,
Resolution number 794-22 has been amended.
And now we'll move to pass as amended.
That's correct,
But
Commissioner.
before we do that, I just want to make a couple of comments.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, that young people, kindergartners who are in poverty all around Central Ohio are faced with so many additional challenges other than learning in pedagogy in the classroom. And so the way I see it in my own life experience as well is that it requires for those young people, those kids, to be able to access pedagogy in the right way, classroom learning in the right way. There are so many forces and factors that need to be in place at home, with their diet, with their wellness, both medical and dental care, and so many other factors. And so some people would say, why is the county invested in education? It's not a sort of county duty or responsibility as outlined in our political subdivision stature. But you have to understand, these are the things that undergird a very good learning process to help those young people overcome some of the challenges that they face. And I can tell you from personal experience that I would not be the person I am today, but for a lot of those supplemental resources that exist in our community. It might be a rec center, it might be an after-school program, it might be classroom support to provide that young kindergartner in their own learning experience. And so learning and experience of getting families, starting with the youngest generation out of poverty, is something that no matter what political subdivision you are in, no matter what your charge from a statute standpoint is something that we all have a responsibility to do. And that's why Franklin County invests in education. I remember, Commissioner O'Grady, when the pandemic first started, we made an investment in laptops and iPads for Columbus City Schools, actually for just schools in general. And I remember getting a few emails about, why are we spending money on that? And you just have to understand the big picture. You have to understand our role as the safety net entity in that bigger picture. And so this is one of those investments that really does make sense. There are a lot of, and I like the idea of Commissioner Crawley serving as the board's representative on the Future Ready, because as we dig into our Rise Together strategy and planning, it's how we keep the dots connected. And it's so easy to get disconnected or go down a pathway that takes us off course. And I really like this idea of having you serve as the board's representative. So I think it's a great amendment, and I think this is going to enhance what Future Ready is doing in their pathway in relationship to the city and the county and other partners involved.
You know, Commissioner Boyce, you are correct. We don't invest, or we don't, by statute, or we don't, it's not our business model to invest in education, but it is our business model to invest in our citizens. It is our business model to invest in the things that are going to ensure that our citizens are succeeding, and it's in our business and our best interest to invest in the things that are gonna make sure that the larger community, the entire community, is, has the right investment and the return on the investment to ensure that at the end of the day, we are spending less dollars over the course of the year or the years, to invest in our citizens and our residents in a way that makes sure that everybody's succeeding, so that the community, the entire community succeeds. And if we invest these dollars, these young people, these kids are going to have a better chance of succeeding, therefore have a better chance of not needing all the rest of the services that Franklin County provides. And we do things like this across the board all the time. This is what Future Ready's about. This is what all the other programs that we do in Franklin County are all about. This is just another example of the type of work that we do on a regular basis.
Well said. Well said. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of Resolution 794-22 as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley? Amended resolution number 794-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 795-22. Resolution of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners to convene into executive session for the purpose of considering personnel matters.
Move to convene into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley? Resolution number 795-22 has been adopted to convene into executive session.